Right then, I've got the good to go from Shane. Lovely to see you on the webcam. Morning folks, Phillip and sort of Shane in the background, Phillip primarily, are talking about installing plugins and the common problems with that process. Phillip's from our Pukunui team over in Perth, who does an absolutely awesome job, and I'm incredibly grateful to have him on our team. So without too much further ado, Phillip, over to you.
There we go. I'm actually going to jump in first and just say I know my name was on it. So Shane here. I know my name was on the presentation. It's actually Phillip who's running this one, and as Lindy said, he runs. Phillip's a developer here, and he helps out with a lot of the deployments of Moodle that we do as a Moodle partner, and has certainly gained a lot of experience over the past few months in that role, and yeah, I just think he's got some good insights into some common problems, and just going to share through that today. So I'll hand it over to Phil.
Thanks for that, Shane. As Shane said, I've been working in the Perth office since last year, and yeah, been really enjoying working with Moodle so far, and looking forward to the future and hopefully meeting some of you as well. Yeah, so today's presentation I'm going to talk about plugin management, so installing plugins, common problems to look for, and just general, yeah, plugin information for you. So in regards to what you see on the screen, you've probably all been to a few sessions so far, so I'll keep my slides up in the middle and just flick through them as we go through. Yes. So first of all, what exactly is a plugin? We'll go through that first. Important questions to ask first about plugins and what you want from a plugin. Then moving on to installations, common problems which can occur during this, finding out the cause, solutions, upgrading, and finally uninstalling. So first of all, what is a plugin? A plugin is sometimes called an add-on. It's an extra bit of functionality and code made to integrate with your Moodle core code. If we think back to a popular video where Moodle was compared to a set of Lego, the plugin was the yellow block written by the community to fill a need. For your site, this means it is able to do something else or display something new. This can add a whole new dimension to your site and improves the experience of users. Some of the most popular ones I've come across so far have been the certificate, the drag and drop and collapsible topics, plus many more. It's important to mention some add-ons are not reviewed and the quality or suitability to your Moodle site may not have been checked. So in saying that, move on, understand the rest, but also the many benefits which I'll explain a bit later on. So a plugin can come as standard or an add-on. On the screen you can see this is a screenshot, sorry, it's pretty hard to see. That's the plugin overview page. To get to this page, you navigate to the settings block, site navigation, plugins, plugin overview. So Moodle plugins are, well, they're all add-ons are plugins, but there are standard and add-ons. So standard comes with your usual Moodle package, and add-on is created separately for you to download and install. So if you decided to look into having a plugin or an add-on for your site, you need to ask some questions as well as about the plugin. So more functionality on your site can mean more things to possibly go wrong, more issues at upgrade time. Also, is the plugin supported? What happens if there's a bug? Is there someone who can help? a lot of the time the main developer of the plugin is available for a bit of support, but that cannot always be the case. If there is an issue with a plugin, I mean, does that mean that your site can still function, still do the things you want it to do, whether you'll keep that plugin on there or remove it? So if you'd like to progress with a plugin, the plugin information can be found from the Moodle plugins directory. I put the link up on the screen for you. From there you can search for plugins, it's all grouped, blocks, reports, etc., and has all the relevant information, what Moodle version requires, just stuff like that. So now some plugins require other ones to be installed as well. For example, the Engagement Analytics plugin requires you to download a block and a report version. This would all be mentioned in the summary on the Moodle page, so, and in the instructions, however, so you should have no issue. So once you've found a nice add-on you think would be great for you as a teacher, an admin, or for your users, at this point you need to check if your institution will allow you to install a plugin. Some of you may be hosting your own instance of Moodle, others may be with a hosting service. So you're going to have to check all these things before you proceed. So just on the screen, this is an example of what you'll see when looking at the certificate plugin on the Moodle page. So it's got the version number, the Moodle versions that it works with, and the developer there, Mark Nelson. So once you've chosen a plugin and you've checked you're allowed to install it, and now you want it, you need to download it onto your site. Some people have test or copy sites, which I do recommend. It helps a lot. It's very beneficial for exercises like this. It enables you to see what the plugin will look like, as well as ensure it works correctly as expected. And also a bit of practice installing it before it goes into production. The safest way to limit issues in the future is to install it correctly the first time. So having a test site will help with that. So go to the Moodle page, download the most stable version, and it will be downloaded in a compressed format, like a zip format. So first thing I'd recommend is to unzip it in a empty folder, just so you can have a look at the way it's laid out. If there's a README file, the README file will usually have instructions on how to install it. Yeah, so for unzipping, yeah, you can use programs 7-zip, WinZip. They all do the job. Also, some plugins need to be installed in multiple folders, so that will be in the README file as well. Some of the most common locations are the, sorry, I'll just wait for the slide to change. Yeah, so sorry, some of the most common locations are in the Moodle folder under course and formats for the course format plugins, and then Moodle blocks for blocks and mod for modules, and there's also others like report, etc. Yeah. So now you have your new plugin unzipped in the correct location. The first step I would recommend is to go to your settings block, site administration notifications, and it should show up in there as displayed on screen. So this is for an example of a report that I was doing. So it appears with the name of the report, the location, says that it's an add-on, the version number, etc. And it says to be upgraded. And the bottom of the notifications page, you'll find a button saying upgrade Moodle database now. You'll need to click on that, and then you'll be redirected to the main page. Common problems will usually start to appear here onwards, so keep your eye open from here. And these can be the plugin not appearing in the notification list to start with. Also file permission errors or location errors. Usually you'll be given some kind of idea or error message to help you understand what went wrong. The image on screen is actually from a forum post where a user was having issues with their plugin. As you can see in the highlighted circle, that Moodle is trying to get the text that is associated with the tag module name. It should be appearing as a normal word like the ones below: book, chat, choice, etc., which automatically tells us there's a language issue, language file issue. The result for this one was actually a file permission. Yeah, I'll move on to explaining that one a bit later on. So investigating the fault, one of the first things you usually do is to purge the cache. This usually clears out any minor issues if something's not showing up, etc. To do this, simply navigate to the settings block, site administration, development, and then click on purge all caches, and continue when you're on that page. If your plugin does not appear in the notifications list, usually the first question I would ask here is if you definitely unzip the folder. There has been a few times where people don't unzip the folder and they expect Moodle to pick it up. Unfortunately it doesn't, so you do need to make sure you unzip in the right place. And yeah, exactly in the right place, because Moodle will be looking for it there. Also, changing the name of folders, I would not recommend doing that. This is important as they would have been named according to Moodle guidelines, and also Moodle needs them to be labeled a certain way to be found. If you're still having no luck, you should turn on debugging. This will give you a more detailed message on the screen of what is not working. To do this, you go back to the settings block, site administration, development, and debugging. And I've just done a screenshot on the bottom here. This is from the debugging page. If you just change the drop-down box to all, then that will show you any error messages at the top of the screen. It's important to turn this off afterwards, as it does take up a lot of space on the page, and also the users can see it. And if all else fails, the Moodle forums are very handy for plugins. If there's an error you don't understand, or for any other reason, you can search these forums for a solution on that error, or to start a new post outlining relevant information. This is important in determining exactly what the issue is. You should mention important information, the version number, the name of the plugin, etc. Also, screenshots don't hurt. On screen is a very basic example of someone asking a question. Sorry, once again, it's pretty hard to see. I would include more information than what they have said. They've basically just asked a question, that's it. You need to put in the version number, the plugin, what you were doing, the process you went through, etc. Just let me know if I'm going too fast and need to clarify any steps. Also feel free to ask any questions, etc. So moving on, we have a plugin installed. So updating a plugin. So say you've got your plugin installed and then sometime in the future a new version comes out and you want to upgrade it. You can also check for updates as you wish from the plugin overview page, simply by clicking on the check for updates button. So first of all, you'll need to get the new version of the plugin. From Moodle 2.4 onwards, in the plugin overview page, it can display if there's a new version. On screen, this is showing this blue box here is where you can just download the new version straight from there. For sites below 2.4, you'll need to go back to the Moodle page and download from there. Also, for that blue box automatic download, that is a setting labeled Available Update Notifications, and that is in Site Administration and then under Server. Yeah, actually, sorry, I'll just go back 1 second. Yeah, this feature, it can also, when you download it, it will automatically overwrite the older version, which is, again, a setting. Whereas for lower versions, when you download lower versions of Moodle, when you download the new version of the plugin, you'll have to overwrite the file which is this is pretty handy, especially it enables the developer to get the plugin installed the way it needs to be, because it's done automatically. Once again, it'll all be included in the README file. So next is, so you've updated your plugin. Now what about updating Moodle with existing plugins? You'll need to follow some of the same steps previously mentioned. Once again, I recommend having a test site. Extremely beneficial to replicate the effect of an upgrade on your site. Some of you will have hosting providers who will do this test site creation and upgrade for you, but it will most likely to be up to you to test to make sure your plugins still work as they should. A few times people don't test and you put it into production and something's wrong. So it's important to go through all the usual steps you usually use that plugin for, just to make sure it's all working correctly. Yeah, so if you go back to your Moodle plugin directory online, you should be able to see what versions of Moodle your plugin will work with. But I do still recommend viewing on the test site before putting it into production. Sorry, once again, it's pretty hard to see, but it says requirements, Moodle 2.0, 2.1, all the way up to 2.4. So that's for the certificate, so it works with those versions of Moodle. And then if all goes well, you can upgrade your production site with the plugin still there, and it should all work, fingers crossed. If there are any issues, I'd say follow the detection steps mentioned earlier of file locations, file names, permissions, debugging, etc. It could happen that you upgrade your Moodle site and the plugin will not work. If this happens, you will need to decide if you keep the plugin on your site in a buggy state until it's fixed, or if you want to delete it from your site until a new version comes out. So uninstalling a plugin, for example, drag and drop before, if you had it on your 2.2 site as an add-on plugin. However, since going to 2.3 site, this plugin is now standard Moodle issue and it clashes with the old version. So you need to, or for any other reason, you need to uninstall a plugin. You can do this from the plugin overview page. The path is just at the top. And just simply click the uninstall button. You will still need to remove the files off your server. It just deletes it from being available on your site. The plugin overview page, I have spoken about that a bit, so I should probably talk more about it. From this screenshot, you can see a number of columns. So the source we've spoken about before, whether it's a standard Moodle plugin or an add-on plugin, then it lists the version number, and enabled or disabled is exactly that, just whether the user can see it or not. To change that, you need to go back one more in the path to site administration, plugins, and mind blank, what's it? Yeah, it's in there. I think I got the path on the next page. Yeah, but from there you can change whether it's enabled or disabled back in the plugins path. You can't just click here and change it. Settings just goes directly straight to the settings page for that plugin, but you should be okay to function with the default settings. Now we should probably actually try a task of installing an add-on. So I'll just get my screen showing. I think it's just loading up. Okay, there we go. So I've got my test site opened up at the top here. From here you can see at the moment this is with debugging turned on. So this is an example of some errors. Now I've created some errors here. I don't know how well you can see it, but here it says invalid getString identifier and then plugin name. That is because I've actually deleted the language file for plugin name, so it's looking for the text associated with that. So that's an example of one error. If you're a developer, you could, pretty smart cookie, you can figure one of those ones out, but if you have any language file issues, I'd recommend re-downloading the plugin or getting in touch with the developer. So I'll just turn debugging off now. So settings, site administration, development, debugging. And just change that to none. And save changes. So I've gone ahead and downloaded a plugin, a block actually. So just in an example of placement, I've just created this regular folder and just put in blocks, course, local as an example of what you'd see in your Moodle folder and where to place the plugin. So the one I downloaded today was a block, so we go in the block folder. And as you can see, it comes down as a compressed file. So one of those important steps, need to unzip it. And I'm on a different computer and I didn't put a program on to do it. Luckily I have it open in my cPanel. Just go into blocks. So here's the one we downloaded, and I will just unzip that so it's available. So now you've got your plugin on your site and it's unzipped in the correct location. You need to head to site settings block, site administration, notifications. And here's the notification page we spoke about a bit earlier on. Here there's a lot of stuff, needs a bit of attention. So the one we installed today was appointments. So it's got the path where I placed it, blocks, course underscore appointments. Says it's an add-on with the version number, and it's a new one, so it doesn't have the current version, because it's new to my site, and it's to be installed. So if we go down to the very bottom of the notifications page, we can click on Upgrade Moodle Database Now. And success. So to test this, make sure it's showing up. For this block, you have to be in a course to view it. So if I turn editing on, and we add a block, and there's the one we just added, appointments. So that seems to have installed correctly, and it's available for me to use, and there it is there. So some of those steps I spoke about earlier on, the purge the cache, that was under site administration, development, and then purge all caches. That's a good one if something isn't showing up. It's usually the first step I go through. And we'll visit the plugin overview page. So back to the settings block, site administration, plugins, plugin overview. So on this page, this has all the standard and add-on ones. So to find the one we want, a bit further down. So these are attribute groups, so question behaviors, and then find blocks. There we go. So in the blocks, and then appointments. There it is. So to uninstall, all I do is simply click the uninstall button, ask if, are you sure you really want to delete it? Continue. And then it will say it's deleted from, and all the data associated with that block has been deleted from the database. And then to complete the deletion, as I said earlier, you need to delete the directory from your server. And then that plugin will be deleted from your site. Is there any questions so far? So I'm just reading through the chat to see what's being asked. Anthony, I wasn't going to talk about Moodle 2.5. I haven't had a chance, and hopefully we'll spend the rest of the day having a look at that. Yeah, that's a good point, Anthony. A list of plugins which are clear and safe for production. Definitely take some of the risk out of it. Did anyone else have any questions or queries, or like me to go back to any of the previous slides? It's just general plugin management, installing. Sorry, just reading. Lindy, what sort of things flag as security issues for you? I'm guessing you could, or Shane. I'm guessing there could be some database security issues with the type of information which can be inputted through a text field, etc. But hopefully a developer would have gone through that in his code to make sure that nothing too dangerous could affect your database. Yeah.
And let me jump in as well. Yeah, a lot of it also is about trusting the developer as well that did it, because yeah, potentially anyone could actually upload something to the plugin thing. I know it gets reviewed before it gets put up there, but sometimes, you know, it gets missed as well. So even knowing information about who the developer is would be handy as well. just knowing those people. And so I think when we install plugins with clients who always ask for extra plugins, they see them, that's great, and there's some great plugins out there. But generally, you know, one of the telling things is if we know they're a core developer already that's done it, or someone we know, it's a very easy thing to say, well, we think that's a safe one because we trust them. So you need to do that code review on plugins as well, basically. For ones you don't know about, you really do need to do a code review. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Teresa. I reckon there should be just talking to Anthony about that separately, actually. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the thing too, Anthony. Yeah, like we know that yours is a functional review, and we do our own code review as well, and that again is even separate to a security review. So the code might look great as well, but there's a security thing as well, part of that as well, you know, and yeah, a lot of issues to look at. And hence my comment before why we disable it for our clients. It's just for that reason. It can cause a world of pain for them and for us as well. So in terms of we have to support it and or fix a site up that gets broken or hacked into. So I'm certainly not bagging the functionality of the new installer. It's just how we can manage that. Yeah, in terms of our business. That's all.
Yeah, a badge would be a good idea. I see everyone's getting quite involved with those. It's good. So yeah, a security badge would be good. Yeah.
Cool. I'll wrap it up then. I think Philip's done this unless there's more questions. And as I said at the start, it was just an overview of lessons learned that we've learned, I guess, doing plugins for clients. And yeah, so I hope that was helpful for some people. Philip's got his email address there, and some more questions. But I'll wrap it up. I'll just say thank you to Philip. Thanks for sharing his insights with us today. Cheers. And certainly, yeah, keep the questions going in the chat if you need to.
Thanks for everyone for listening in. Lindy, for your question, yes, I did have some PHP experience before I started with Moodle. How I found getting into Moodle code, it was really good. It was a lot, mainly due to the amount of help online I could find. If I was stuck on anything, I could find it so easily. Yeah, so it wasn't even PHP. It was some other stuff as well. But yeah, it was just the resources out there which made learning how to work with Moodle so much easier. So thank you everyone for listening in. And yeah, I'll be around for a bit longer to answer any more questions.